Königssee in Bavaria. Down below us is the artificial ice track, and below that, the lake that gives this place its name. It's the Royal Lake in the heart of Bavaria, just outside the town of Berchtesgaden. We find the oldest artificial ice track on the planet. It's the second and deciding run of the European Championships for men's skeleton. It's the last World Cup race of the Viessmann season. I'm Martin Haven. Alongside me in the booth is US Olympian Katie Eulander. And Katie, tight men's race coming up in this second heat.
Yeah, man, it's, well, I mean, after Dukurs, it's pretty tight. He was 200ths off the track record and is in the running for the Triple Crown, which is pretty exciting. I'm on the edge of my seat to see if he's going to pull that off second year in a row.
Great run from Frank Rommel. The top German lies just outside the medal positions. Two Dukurs brothers in the top three. Thomas is in third position. Looked like they were going for another 1-2 after the first heat, until your teammate Matt Antoine got himself firmly in the mix.
Matt had a great run. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens between him and Thomas.
Well, we got four long, lean athletes in the top four, and it is just starting to sprinkle a few snowflakes down. They will be the last to go if it's snowing heavily. We'll wait and see what effect that has, but Antoine, great result for him to be in second place. Martins Dukurs must be fastest in this heat, not just to win the European Championship, not just to win the World Cup race, but also to win €100,000 in the FIBT Triple Trophy. He'll think of that afterwards. Till then, he'll just concentrate on getting his lines. Because Kaylee Humphries, this is a very, sorry, Kaylee Humphries, what I'm talking about, Katie Eulander, this is a very technical track. Well, here is our first heat. As we can see, habitually Martins Dukurs is some way clear of the field, but right behind, 700ths of a second, a tenth covers the next four athletes. It's very close.
It's going to be insane to watch. Rommel's 300ths behind Thomas and 400ths behind Matt. Rommel's 300ths. Yeah, you guys got this. I can't count.
It's close, it's close. Well, I forgot your name, you've forgotten the English language, so we're square now. Okay, so top 20 go through. Ance Stetina of Slovenia will be the first of our 20 athletes. They'll go in reverse order. Both runs count. Aggregate time, the total that you've taken, is what will decide the winner. Of the 28 starters, the slowest 8 do not get a second heat. So from Greece's Alexandros Kefalas down to the Netherlands, Gert Kucha, they will be joining the thousands of fans down this ice track in Königssee. Well, this was designed in the late 60s, opened in 1970. Imagine what the world was a different place then. And that partly explains why it's such a tight and twisty track at the top and at the bottom.
They've put a lot of work into this track over the last few years. World Championships 2011, they changed Old Zeal to Ecovon, and I think a lot of the skeleton athletes most definitely appreciated that, because that was a face planner for sure.
Well, between checking the sled like Frank Rommel and warming up with the other athletes out in the freshly falling snow, there's Martins Dukurs, brother Thomas behind. Thomas just gradually warming themselves up. Matthias Kuchenberger is delighted as anybody yesterday when teammate Janine Flock won the European Championship gold medal. It's a small family, isn't it, skeleton? You know, you don't have a team of 4, it's you and your fellow athletes, and everybody seems to me gets on really pretty well.
Yeah, there are a lot of great people on tour, and it's always a lot of fun to root each other on, and we all know what it feels like to be in the back of the ranks and then build your way back up, and it is just something to revere and appreciate in each other and in the hard work, and when you finally nail something and how good it feels, and to share that moment with another athlete.
Start list for our second heat goes from 20th in the first heat down to the race leader. Martins Dukurs will be there at the end, the last man to go. Who will be in the leader's box when he does? Will it be Germany's Frank Rommel? Will it be Matt Antoine of the USA? Or will it be his brother Thomas?
Oh man, seeing that snow come down makes me fear for the rest of this race.
Our first of 20 sliders, the last World Cup slide of the season and the last of the season for Ance Stetina. He's not going to Sochi for Slovenia. Out into freshly falling snow goes the first man on the ice. A 4.90 start for Ance. And he started 4.98 in the first heat. So finding a bit more oomph for his last competitive run of the season.
It didn't look like he was fighting the S-curves too much, but he definitely sounded loud in between the transitions, which is a result of your body positioning on the sled typically.
118.5 kilometers an hour in the Grizzley, the 360-degree corner, half a kilometer up on his first run. Better exit, better run through the labyrinth.
He's looking really relaxed at the bottom of the track. I'm impressed.
That is the secret to the sport. Go fast, but do it in a relaxed frame of mind with your chin on the ice at 80 miles an hour, accelerating hard, and carries the speed to the line, 51.92.
He had quite a bit of trouble there at the end, and that's when the sled starts to really slow down because the track is going uphill. So hitting and skidding on that steep section going uphill is pretty costly typically.
That run, quarter second faster than his first heat. There's the smile we're used to seeing. Well, this is the trademark corner here, or one of 3 sets of corners maybe, the Grizzley corner.
It seems like he was much more relaxed the second heat. He had a bit of a skid on the exit of Grizzley, but that might not have cost him too much. It gave him a clean ride through chicanes. Maybe that's where he made up time from the first run.
Ance Cetina of Slovenia, our race leader. Next up is Sean Greenwood from Ireland. Family originally from British Columbia in Canada. Moved to Galway in Ireland. He's back in Whistler. His regular day job is a helicopter pilot.
I'm loving the helmet. Oh my goodness.
4:85 getaway for Sean Greenwood.
Staying pretty relaxed.
Started 4:96 in the first heat. Looks like the start area might be speeding up a little as well.
Maybe. Well, he looks like he's going to do pretty well if he can just keep off that right wall going in any under.
See fresh snow in the track billowing up under the sled. 1:18.4 for him. That's again a little quicker than, oh, it's exactly the same speed as in the first heat.
Oh no, he just had a horrible chicane.
Head up, just getting his sight lines right again, and then tucking down in Echo Vance, the penultimate corner. He's going to slip behind. Wriggling around on the sled, he's a big fella as well. Comes in 800s back with a 52.03 slide.
Little dance move at Echo Vance uphill.
Yeah, never helps.
Does. The beginning of his run seemed much more relaxed. Oh man, huge skid down here. Runners are not going straight. Then he uses his toes and he still clips the wall.
Hauling the sled round like a Cresta runner.
And here comes his dance move. Yeah.
Yeah, just wriggling those hips to try and get the sled straightened out. Next up for Russia is Alexander Mutovin. Mutovin, very occasional World Cup performer these days, 29 years old from Krasnoyarsk. And he lay in 18th place after the first heat. Well, on the Russian team from 2002. He was in World Cup 2006, 7, 8.
I knew he looked familiar, but I had not seen him around in a while.
Well, no, you're absolutely right. We have not seen him in the World Cup level for quite some period.
Letting the sled go over the hill, that was good. 73 start, that's competitive.
Yeah, fraction quicker than his first run, but not a tenth quicker like the last 2 guys we've seen.
Oh my goodness, that was not a good S2, S3. You could hear it as he transitioned between the 2 corners. I don't think it matters how well his bend away is, his speed's gonna suffer.
And he's got a big first round advantage over Ance Cetina, our current leader.
He also had a decent start.
Yeah, ooh,
but,
however.
Yeah, I think he just scrubbed all of it away now.
3 tenths up, that could have cost him at least half of that. Oh, and again, this might be down into single digits by the line. It's all uphill and pretty steep to the line. 1200s.
Oh,
he just stays in front. But it wasn't the greatest run that you might ever expect from a Russian athlete.
Goes to show how much a start can actually help an athlete keep an advantage. Trechikov was notorious for that back in the day. Now he's actually done quite a good job driving down the hill.
Yeah. Again, long high line there.
Oh, that transition was so harsh. I mean, it is still going downhill there, but he did not generate any speed out of those corners whatsoever. He was just hanging on. I think he must have just maintained what he had from his start. And, I mean, he didn't clip that wall, so.
It's a start. There is our race leader, Alexander Mutovin of Russia. So our 17 remaining sliders started off by Maurizio Oioli of Italy. Only one of 2 Italian men to get into the second heat. His teammate didn't make it through, make the cut for the second run. Giovanni Musolano.
Maurizio just needs to calm down this run and do what he knows how to do, because he's improved on his sliding so much in the last few years. I remember in Torino, he was one of the first sliders down, and we named the curve 17 or 18. I was 18 after him. We called it the decapitator. So he's brave, and he's got a lot of talent. He just needs to relax and go with it.
It's the voice of US Olympian Katie Eulander. Alongside me here in the booth, trackside in Königssee, 0.08 of a second. He's closing.
Not so bad. Little skid there, but hopefully that won't affect him too much.
Better speed than the first heat, quicker than anybody so far in this second run. He moves into the green, he's in front. Oh, that's a good exit.
He is having a much better run than his first run. Great job, Maurizio.
Wow, he's gone from 1200s back to 6500s in front of the line. That's a good run.
He made mistakes this run, but instead of panicking, he was much more relaxed about it, and I think that was the biggest difference between the first run and this run.
3/4 of a second faster.
He should have a big smile on his face.
Yeah, there you go.
Oli, oli. Great, that was a really great transition for him there. And he's staying relaxed and calm. He might have missed the pressure here, but he didn't panic. He just took it, and it worked out really well for him.
So Maurizio Oioli is our race leader with 4 of our top 20 down. And there is young Ella, Kristan Bromley and Shelley Rudman's daughter, watching the action. And she'll be busy critiquing Daddy later as to what he did wrong. Brother Richard, who builds the Bromley Tech sleds and makes the runners, is holding the sled on the ice. Kristan with a last-minute worry about moisture in the helmet. You do not need your visor misting up when you're doing 75, 80 miles an hour head first.
No, and I seem to have a hard time getting my helmet on comfortably before I go as well, and it's such a panic to try to get it going in that 30 seconds. Look, he had 6 seconds on the clock left.
Last thing you need, you only get a 30-second period in which to start, otherwise you're DQ'd. Little steer down into turn 1.
He used the left groove.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think most athletes are using the right groove.
Well, most do, because of course most are right-handed and they want the sled on their right-hand side, which is, you know, governed by their brain, but he still had the sled on his right, but he used the left groove. Maybe he felt he was getting pushed in the wrong way in the first heat.
He did a really great job through the bend away, navigating his way through without too much of a skid. Little skid on the exit of Kreisel, but it looks like he made it through pretty smooth.
Better speed than in the first heat, a little less ragged, let's say, in the labyrinth than in the first heat. 4/10 up on Oioli. 5/10 up. Now can he push himself up the order?
This was like a whole new Bromley down the track. I'm so impressed. This is the Bromley of old here. That was a great run.
Yeah, Captain Birdseye is happy with that. First heat 51.9, second heat 50.7. So 1.2 seconds quicker.
His speed was phenomenally higher as well, and I think a lot of it had to do with maybe just the way he generated speed through the S-curves that round. And here, last run his legs were all over the place. Right there, even though he skimmed the wall, he just took it, was really relaxed. His feet aren't dragging as much as the first run. He is just finessing the sled through the chicane.
He always is moving his hips around. That's one of his key things that makes his style so different. Always seems to be shifting the weight with his hips, whereas a lot of people use the shoulders or the knees more. See, always very physical. Kristan Bromley is our race leader from Maurizio Oioli. 15 sleds still to come.
I mean,
Martin Haven and Katie Ulander watching the action here. Königssee, Bavaria, last World Cup race of the season. Don Parsons of Great Britain, 15th after the first heat. Let's see what he can produce, having just seen teammate Kristan Bromley put in a blinding second run.
Dom is looking really relaxed coming down the straight. He has a 2/10 advantage from the first heat, but Bromley laid it down the second run. It was really good. Let's see if he can hang on. Oh, that might be a risk. But if he can hold it together and keep the runner straight. Oh no, that hit before Jenner.
It's only your second heat in the booth and already you've perfected the curse of the commentator. My congratulations to you, well done. No, that's fine, no. Not cussing, just saying he's doing really well as he has the mistake. 1700s back, he's gone from 2400s up. And this is an indication not so much that Dom's having a bad slide, but that Kristan just had a shocking first run and a great second run.
Yeah, I would say the run I just saw Bromley lay down before that was the Bromley I remember from back in the day, and it was a pleasure seeing that run.
Well, Don Parsons, 2200s, nearly a quarter of a second better in the second heat, and yet still falls back 2 spots.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the men's side on the Great Britain team are in the process of developing, and Kristan has the experience of coming back a second heat and understanding what it takes to bump yourself back up. And a lot of athletes struggle with that. The first run, the pressure, being really nervous and tight, like you see Dom here out of S4. He could have relaxed and taken that hit a little bit better, but his runners are still sideways. And Bromley did a really great run of sinking back into himself and being that slider of old.
Getting that little tap into the unconscious, which is what drives you to your best performance. 27 on the helmet. I wonder if he's a Ferrari fan. John Farrow of Australia. Well, we know what his musical tastes run to. Neither country nor western, I'm assuming. The Aussie recovering from horrendous injuries a couple of years ago as a sprinter, former downhill mountain bike racer, so clearly he's got no sense of his own mortality at all, from downhill mountain bike to 70 miles an hour head first on the ice.
Yeah, and I think you can see how he gets a lot more calm in the middle of the run, and maybe in a few years he'll perfect on how to do that out of the block. He's looking pretty good right here.
Think how confident he must be, having been announced as an Olympic slider earlier this week for Australia, going to his first games.
He has had a pretty good run through the S-curves right there. And he nailed the bend away. Let's see if he can hold on through Grizzley.
I'm starting to wonder now how much different he is today to the last couple of races, whether those nerves have just evaporated and he's just letting it all hang out now because there's no pressure on him.
Could be. I mean, he's a happy-go-lucky kind of guy, and, you know, he just loves doing sport and doing things that are fast and fun.
Slipping behind at the moment. This will put him down into 4th spot, but a really flowing run. Kristan Bromley may be in the leader's box a little while longer.
Bromley laid it down second heat. That was really fun to watch, actually. And even though his body was kind of, you know, flailing around like it normally does, he was going with what his sled was doing, and that's the key. It doesn't matter if you're, you know, you don't look pretty. You just have to go fast. And compared to his first heat, he was much more together with his sled on the second run.
Listen, they always say a winning race car is a pretty race car no matter how ugly it looks, and you're right, you know, get it done, get it down fast. If it's not the most technically proficient looking run, doesn't matter if you beat the other guys. But I think John Farrow the last week or so has become really relaxed. He's going to head to Sochi to represent his country in the Olympic Games. Well, next up is Kyle Tress of the USA.
Let's see if Kyle can do what Bromley did and lay it down the second heat.
America's Cup champion 2009-10 season, made his World Cup debut then, originally from Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Now lives in a little town called Lake Placid in New York.
You can already see it in Kyle's eyes how much more relaxed and determined he is to have a good run. He is just going with it. So far, so good. Great S1, S2. Oh, oh no.
All right, but he's not panicking. It's getting sideways on him. Still sideways, though, down into the Jenner curve, and the speed is all gone.
Oh, it's so heartbreaking. Oh, man.
3500's back. This is the last kind of a run that he needed to finish off his World Cup campaign. points with Canada's Eric Nielsen, so Nielsen can't overhaul him because he's home in Canada. Kristan Bromley holds the lead. Kyle Tress 51.7. He came down 51.8 in the first heat, so in fact that's still not as bad.
Yeah, I think the ice is definitely picking up. It must be getting colder outside. Kyle had such a great top going, and then he just broke into a skid in the bend away, costing him all his speed. He had a great load onto his sled. He got really comfy really fast and looked so determined to go fast second heat. It breaks my heart that that happened to him in the bend away.
Well, still a young athlete. His time will come. Big waves in the Kreisel. Way up there, Katie, scaring the woodwork.
Oh my goodness. I think he went into the flat on that third pressure.
Yeah.
At least, no, that's not the line you want to take through the Kreisel, but I mean, hey, he looked pretty relaxed on the exit.
Chatting with Maurizio Oioli, sharing notes. Here's Katsuhiro Koshi, one of Japan's outstanding sportsmen of any discipline in the last 20 years. The young charge, Yuki Sasahara. Both Japanese men making the second heat.
Did he also use the left groove the first heat?
Now, that's a good call. I think he did. I think he did.
So far, so good. S1, S2. I think that's going to cost him a little bit. It wasn't quite the line he should have taken.
Look at the gap. It was 1900s as he started. It's down to 200s. He'll be behind by the Kreisel.
Bromley nailed his first run. Unfortunately, this Japanese slider is going to struggle to catch him at the bottom.
And unfortunately for Kristan, the first round does count as well. It's not just a one-heat wonder.
I wonder if Kyle's going to move up.
Well, that's possible. Sasahara, second spot at the moment on split times. He's not far behind. He moves into second. Oioli third, Parsons fourth, but it is Kristan Bromley who stays in the lead.
I'm really impressed with how the Japanese sliders have been improving over the years, and with Koshi as their coach. I used to compete with Koshi, and it's just really great to see these countries developing sliders.
Yeah, last year was a standout year for both Japanese men. Shin Taeyama didn't make the team this year, but Sasahara here is a great replacement. Look at the height.
Man. It is such an edgy line. Like, you want height and you want to come really close to the right wall, but it is scary because you don't know how close to the right wall you're going to get.
No kidding. You're coming down from a second-story window straight at the ground, effectively. You know, that's a hard hit if you take it.
There he is.
There is Yuk. And next up is our second Russian slider, Anton Batuev. The lead Russians, their regular World Cup squad, all home. They've qualified for the Games. They're training up for the Olympics. So Batuev joins Alexander Mutovin in the team. 28 years old now from Moscow. He's had a few World Cup races, but not many, but enough to spread around a bit of language, right?
Very much so. I had a really great time competing with him on ICC, and let's see if he can make it through the bend away. One of the words he taught me on ICC was zhostky, which means slick ice, and it looks like he was skidding his way into Jenner, which might cost him. It was a little zhostky.
Ooh, 119.4, that's not bad speed at all. Kristan Bromley of Great Britain is our current race leader, and looks like he may stay that way, but Batuev had good lines in the labyrinth.
He did maintain a line through the chicane, but I feel like he may have lost his speed in the bend away, and it's going to cost him on this uphill section.
Still only 600ths of a second, 300ths at the line. He doesn't quite get there.
Bromley is going to get, he needs to get some more clothes on. He's going to get cold standing out there the whole time.
He's living the dream, baby. He'll live with that. Well, that's a big improvement for Batuev. 51.70 first heat, 51.11 second heat. Just needed 4 more hundreds.
Privyet. Privyet, that was one of my words. Here he comes out of S4. He's just a little too far right, and he tries fighting it, which, you know, might have been a good move because he was going to hit, but he just didn't have the right angle on the tap. He fought it. Caused a really big skid. Cost him a lot of time.
Hips up, knees down, legs swinging out, everything you can to subtly steer these sleds.
But he was really relaxed right through here. Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's just such a bummer when you start losing control like that and there's nothing you can do to save it.
Yeah, you're edging up to 80 miles an hour there. It comes at you so quick, that section. Half our field have safely completed their second and deciding heat here. Kristan Bromley, the race leader for Great Britain, from Anton Batuev of Russia, with Yuki Sasahara of Japan lying in third spot. Katie Eulander, interesting that we've seen several big improvements from the first heat, and when you're sort of out of the top 10 athletes, you see this. Consistency is one of the key issues with this sport.
Huge. I think consistency is definitely going to be what wins it in Sochi. Any world championship race or Olympics, it's all about being able to not dwell on your mistakes or whatever you did wrong in the first heat, come back and start anew. I mean, I think that's why baseball was such a great sport for me, is because you're always battling the odds when you step up to the plate. A 300 batting average is good, and that's only 1 in 3 at-bats. And Bromley, I mean, I'm not saying he's a baseball player, but at this point, I would think he'd do quite well. He came up to the plate and nailed it. I mean, he came down, and he just rode that sled right through to could be a top 5 finish.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you have a run like that, I mean, we saw it 2 weeks ago in the women's bobsled in St. Moritz. Kaylee Humphries, 4/10 off the pace in the first heat. You think, okay, well, really, you know, your day's done. 4/10 is a lot to make up in a wild skeleton race, never mind a bobsled race. And to ride from 10th to gold it shows that sometimes weird things happen.
Well, this is where the passion of the sport comes through, and being a veteran and understanding what it takes to win and not letting your mistakes hold you down. I mean, Bromley came back and he was a completely different slider on his sled. He looked awesome. And I mean, I kind of want to watch it again, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, luckily, thanks to the modern miracle of YouTube, you can go and sit down and watch it and listen to yourself all the way through the evening. You may have better things to do. All right, well, so we still have 10 athletes to come here. And of course, not only have we got to decide our World Cup champion, we've got our European Championship medals to be handed out, and potentially 100,000 euro in the FIBT Triple Trophy could be won in the next 30 minutes. Welcome back to Königssee in Bavaria. Martin Haven and US Olympian Katie Eulander watching the final men's skeleton race of the World Cup season. Keith Loach, the coach, going mad behind Grizz. Dave Grzesin of Canada, 10th after the first heat.
Man, he's got a bear on his helmet. He looks like a bear coming down the track. He is one big boy. Let's see what he does here in those curves.
Yeah, it's the physical resemblance to a grizzly bear that got him the name, not the art of stealing food from picnic hampers.
Oh, man.
Well, listen, if he can nail a top 10 finish, it's only his second ever World Cup start. What a thing to take away at the end of the year.
Got decent speed coming into Grizzle. Oh, no, he just had a huge skid on that second pressure. He's got a good line through chicane, but he might have just scrubbed all his speed going into the uphill section.
From 2900s up to 600s up, he's behind Kristan Bromley.
Bromley had another kilometer an hour on him going into Kreisel and didn't have the mistakes that Dave just did.
Doesn't mean he's going to be out of the reckoning. Kristan Bromley is in the top 10. Coach Loach applauds Dave Grzesin. What could have been. But Katie Eulander, that one mistake early on is going to chase you all the way down the track.
It really is, and especially if you aren't anticipating that mistake. If you make a mistake and you're able to anticipate what then is going to happen from that, you can fix it. But a lot of times athletes get a program in their head and they stick to it instead of adjusting to what happens. That's why I call sliding relaxed chaos. It really is chaos going down the hill, and you're just doing your best to deal with it.
There you go, there's the Katie Eulander chaos theory of skeleton. Well, Grzesin, first time ever here on this Königssee track. It takes a while to learn. There is Grizz. He's not the tallest, but he's certainly the widest skeleton slider I've ever seen. Well, next up is Matthias Guggenberger. Thrilled yesterday that his girlfriend Janine Flock claimed the European gold medal for Austria. Now, in the top 10 after the first heat, we're going to see another Austrian climb up onto European medal podium. He's a big run, doesn't he?
Yeah. Martin Rettel seems to be doing a great job coaching his athletes. I had him as a coach in 2007-8, and it was a lot of fun. He is a really fun guy to have as a coach.
I think that's part of it, isn't it? Is making it fun as a sport, reminding you why you got into this.
Yeah, and he does have fun with it. It looks like Mateus is much more relaxed on this run, and he's not working as hard to get the perfect line into 1 and S1. He might just have the opportunity to hold on to his spot. This is turning into quite a good run.
Big sliding family in Austria, the Guggenbergers. His uncle is a coach for the Swiss as well. 119.7 decent speed, but waving up and down. And plants it in the wall, what everybody fears, exiting the Kreisel.
He was too low on the second pressure of Kreisel.
Of course, you hit that wall, exiting the Kreisel, it just throws you down the rest of the alley there.
Yeah, I mean, it all has to do with your first and second pressure in Kreisel. If you miss it, you create too much pressure on the end, and you get high way too early, come out early and hit the wall, and that's just what happened. I mean, he had a phenomenal run going. I really thought he was going to hold on to his spot. Unfortunately, that mistake in Kreisel cost him.
Drifts into 7th place with another 8 athletes to go. Season best result for him. 11th place in Lake Placid.
Oh man, that cost him his whole run. What's scary, and I think Olga, the Russian, is the one that had done that in the past, where you hit this left side and you fear that you're going to lose your sled right there. Olga hit and went backwards.
Look at this. Contact with the ice.
Oh.
Clear in the air.
And then you hit the...
Kristan Bromley is our race leader. Matthias Guggenberger is having a nightmare day today. Kristan Bromley leads the race. Alexander Gassner of Germany is ready to go at the top of this track here in Königssee. 8 final slides of the regular season. Martin Haven and US Olympian Katie Uhlender watching the action. And 3 Germans all in the top 8, looking for European Championship medals. They struggled yesterday, not one German woman on the podium. Can they turn that around with the men?
I don't know, it's going to be tough. Bromley has the experience, and he is the veteran on the track right now, and he has a lot, maybe just as many runs as the Germans do down this track. Let's see what these rookies do.
Of course, because they go in reverse order, every single athlete will have a bigger advantage over Kristan Bromley from the first heat to throw away. See who is the last to throw it. 119.8, still not as good speed as the British slider.
But he is having a pretty decent run until that clip right there. Oh my goodness. Unfortunately, I think it was decent enough, and he had such a big lead on Bromley the first heat that he's going to hold on to his position.
A lot of noise down at the bottom, 700ths of a second. He may not make it, he's behind at the line.
Oh my God!
Only third, Antoine is hanging on to Kristan Bromley's shirt sleeve, the shirt tails, and rounding up the order. Well, the Germans were frustrated in the men's skeleton, in the women's skeleton race, in the men's 2-man bobsleigh this morning, early this afternoon, and the frustration continues. Alexander Gassner tumbles.
These guys are still developing their skills, though, and Bromley has so many more years on them. Even though this is a home track for the Germans, sometimes it's just knowing your sled and being comfortable. Right here is where he lost all of his speed going uphill. He may have maintained his position until he made that mistake on the exit of Kreisel. These chicanes are tricky, and clipping these walls and going onto his side before going uphill, you have no chance of making it up.
Well, the experience difference, Kristan Bromley was sliding ice the year that Alexander Gassner was born. That's the big difference between the two of them. John Daly of the USA now. What a week for him. Appointed again to the US Olympic squad, along with my broadcast partner here, Katie Uhlender.
Yes,
That's got to just help the confidence, hasn't it?
It really does. And Daly and the whole men's team on the US side have come a long way. They have gained a lot more confidence in their sliding ability with the sleds that Protostar has helped us develop this year. And I'm hoping Daly can relax this run and put together a run he knows he can, and I know he can do.
Well, it's carrying the speed away from the start down the track. You know, a few times this year, it looks like he's been holding it in a leaky vessel and it's just ebbed away, but he's got a big lead here and decent speed in the Kreisel. This could be the one.
He nailed, Kreisel, he just came out and hit that wall. Oh my gosh.
And those corner was coming so fast, Katie, that you hit the wall once and it just it's like a bouncer throwing you out of a nightclub. You hit everything on the way. Wow. And that was just putting on the brakes, and he's got no speed at the end, none at all.
He had a 6/10 lead that he lost, and I can't believe it. He was doing so well. I just think sometimes he already has a hard time holding his head down. When he gets tense, it comes up even more, because he knew he was on a good line, and I think then he just wanted it too much.
Kreisel, as for so many athletes, was his undoing. Look at this exit from the Kreisel from 30 feet in the air, hard into the wall.
I'm not sure. I thought he had a good line at Kreisel, but he must have put his sled into a skid on the third pressure, and it just took the wrong angle going out. And he clipped those walls, and once you start banging in those chicanes, you risk a ping-ponging your way through.
There, he was hanging on, just trying to stay on the sled. Kristan Bromley of Great Britain is our race leader. We have 6 to go as the light continues to fade here. Lights all down the track will make it a different experience for Hiro Takahashi. He was the first man on the ice at the start of this race. Woody, long-time British coach, offering his congratulations to the beaming Kristan Bromley.
He was beaming. His eyes were shooting lights out. He was so happy.
Takahashi, 29 hundredths quicker than Bromley from the first heat.
Another left groove starter. Pretty decent speed on the start. If he can build from that, he might just have a chance of holding on to his spot.
Now, when you're warming up and when you're preparing, are you watching the race? Will these guys know that Kristan Bromley has laid down the mother and father of all runs?
You know what? When I'm getting ready to go, I try not to pay attention at times and just focus really on what I need to do to improve. Unfortunately, this Japanese slider had a horrible bend away, and
it's drifting away. He was half a second up into the Kreisel, but he was 2 kilometers an hour slower than his own first run. He's going to be in the red behind Kristan Bromley, and this is uphill now. He can't accelerate uphill. He will fall the order, down the order. Wow, only 5th place for Takahashi. Bromley leads. He has now picked off 10 athletes. Now, in the early years of this century, Kristan would do that if there was a snow race and he came from late in the race. Then they'd cancel the heat and he wouldn't end up winning. Wow, what a run he is having. And Hiro...
This track is eating these athletes alive out of the bend away. He had a huge skid down the bend away, went into Yenner too early, and he lost all of his rhythm through Kreisel, and it went downhill from there and then uphill, and he couldn't make up.
Well, what can be changing the feel of the track in the S's that you're getting the bend away so wrong?
I think it's just a matter of maintaining the rhythm through the top and then not focusing on if you lost it or not through the bend away, because you have a wall to hit through there.
Kristan Bromley, Anton Batuev leading the race here, just 300s apart. Alexander Gassner in 3rd position, 5 to go. Welcome back to Königssee in Bavaria. Alexander Krökel on the track. 5th after the first of our 2 heats here. Martin Haven and Katie Ulender from the US Olympic team watching the action. Kristan Bromley has already picked up 10 spots in this 2nd heat. And it looks like there might be a little bit of snow falling.
He was really smooth through the first curve. And these Germans have a lot of experience through these S-curves, so I'd expect them to be able to generate quite a bit of speed. This is going to be as exciting as watching Alexander come down.
Well, Krökel with 9/10 of a second advantage. He can't throw that away, can he?
Ooh, his speed is not there.
It's not bad, but it's not great.
He had a bit of a skid on the 2nd pressure. He has 7/10 in the bag, though.
All right, he's safely through the labyrinth. This surely is going to be the slide that is going to push Kristan Bromley out of the lead. No question now. He's got 3/4 of a second on hand. He can almost sit up on the sled.
Wow.
Extends it to 8/10. That is the run. Finally, somebody has pushed Kristan Bromley down into 2nd place. That was only 200ths of a second second quicker than Bromley's run. He survived on his first heat. Wow.
He really did. I mean, this is where the Germans have an advantage, having a lot of runs on this track and challenge the veteran. Bromley had a bad first run, and Alexander maintained his position.
Well, that is the first decent run we've seen from a German on this track all day long, and we've had an entire two-man bobsled race. So Krökel, the race leader, the 23-year-old from Oberhof. Well, Bromley still the fastest man, but the gaps were just too big after the first heat for everybody to toss it away.
Krökel seemed to accelerate there through the bottom, where Bromley maybe didn't have the same speed coming out of Eckevan.
Well, next up, with a German in the lead, is the last chance of a German win here, or a German medal at least. Frank Rommel, the veteran of the team at 29 years old. Can he get himself into a European Championship medal? He lies third in the European Championships at the moment.
All the Germans seem to use the right groove, which is interesting to me.
4:79, 500s quicker than his first start. Katie, he knows he's under pressure here.
Rommel is nailing these S-curves. Let's see if he can maintain his speed through the bend away.
He is so fluid a slider.
That was a great bend away, great S-curves. He's got the speed going into Kreisel, and knowing Rommel, he's probably going to nail it.
Here we go, Frank Rommel in the silver medal position last year in this World Cup race.
Rommel did not have the exit of Kreisel I expected. It seemed as though Krökel had a little bit better of a transition through there, and somehow Rommel is...
He is mining speed at the bottom of the track. Wow! Track record! Wow, with that mistake, where did that come from? He beats his own track record by 0.06 of a second to guarantee himself a European medal.
Well, you know, the ice is getting colder, it's getting faster. He's got experience going down this track at fast speeds. And like I said, it doesn't have to be pretty to be fast. And he managed those taps down in the chicane very well.
He felt it in those last corners below the labyrinth. He felt it in Echo and in the Z curve.
Right here, you see him come really close to that wall. He comes up on it, but look, he stays relaxed. He keeps his runners going straight, absorbs the chicane, and makes it through into the C curve flying.
Well, is the track getting faster? Frank Rommel produced a great run. He leads Alexander Krökel and Kristan Bromley with 3 to go. Two Dukurs brothers and Antoine of the USA in the top 3 after the first heat. Thomas Dukurs lying in 3rd spot, the first to go. And only 0.12 of a second covered the top 3.
All of these sliders are so talented and they're so close in time. This is such a suspenseful race to watch, and knowing that the ice is getting faster as it gets colder out there, this is going to be interesting.
I said 1,200s cover the top 3. I'm in 2nd, 3rd and 4th. 4/10s clear was Martins Dukurs, but this is about staying in the medals, about maybe a European Championship silver, or whisper it, even maybe a gold.
Thomas just nailed those S-curves in the bend away. He's got the weight behind him, and his start was not hurt. He has nailed the chicane.
Great speed, copybook stuff, and he is going to beat Frank Rommel, and on the way, he is going to set a new track record. The gap is coming down, though. This is where Rommel accelerated away, but it will be a new track record. 50.53 for Thomas Dukurs, and that's the ante being upped. You've got to break the track record to beat Rommel, and he does.
Oh my gosh, that was a phenomenal run by Thomas. I can't believe the talent we're seeing come down this track between Bromley, Rommel, Thomas Dukurs, and we still have 2 sliders left to go. This is a great race to be watching. I'm privileged to be here with you in the booth.
Look at that, just trickling down there like a river of mercury.
Man, that expansion joint pops those guys up a bit.
Yeah, you don't feel it, you don't notice it, but it's there. 2 sleds to go. Antoine of the USA, what an opportunity for him. From Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin, This 28-year-old who lists his hobby as being awesome has yet another opportunity to prove that. His last competitive slide before marching into the opening ceremony for Team USA in Sochi.
Well, these guys have really been trying to focus on the process and not the results. So if Matt can keep his cool and just focus on what he needs to do, he has a real opportunity to walk away with another medal this year.
Win, lose or draw, this could be a very big race indeed, a very big single run for Matt Antoine.
Only 100th behind on the start, that is not bad. As long as he just goes with this track and has fun through these S-curves, he's gonna nail it.
He's gone 500s quicker than his own start from the first heat. He's got the lead over Dukurs.
His S-curves weren't as smooth as I was hoping they would be, but it seems as though he is doing a great job of just going with his mistakes and not worrying about it too much. His speed is not bad. He has 120 kilometers an hour.
Quicker than his first heat. This should still leave him in contention. Behind Dukurs, but second at the moment in front of Frank Rommel. The gaps are tiny, first to second, just 800ths of a second. Now he's slipping a little away from the medals. And third fastest run, in the fifth fastest run, third spot ahead of Alexander Krökel. He's in the bronze medal position with 1 to go.
I know Matt's not going to be happy with that run, but he is developing skills. Let me tell you, this guy is going to be a threat in Sochi. Right here out of S4, he taps right. He handles it really well. His runners stay straight. I mean, I think he had a really decent run. It just, those other guys had phenomenal runs, and that's what makes the difference in this sport, is someone that's good versus great, or, you know, just finds that little bit of speed that you happen to have missed.
He did have a phenomenal run. 2700s better than his first effort down this track. And that leaves, as so often it has over the last 5 seasons, 6 seasons, one man. Last week, he claimed his 30th World Cup race win. That's insane when you only have 8 World Cups in a season. Martins Dukurs is 1 minute away, potentially, from European Championship, World Cup win, and €100,000. All he's got to do is be perfect. And
what's amazing is I don't think he's even thinking of any of those things. I guarantee you he is so competitive, he's just thinking, I need to do what I gotta do to win.
400s quicker than his first start. He is 6/10 up.
Beautiful S-curves. I bet he's gonna nail the bend away. A little bit of work there, but he's going straight, and that's all you need to do through there.
Well, he's only won 5 of the 7 races this season, 1:21.6, nobody quicker. Nails the exit. Were we expecting anything else?
No, I mean, he had a bit of a skid on the exit, but I think at this point it's better to be a little bit more conservative.
Be loose, 3/4 of a second up. He is going to win the European Championship gold medal. He's going to win the race. Wow. He's going to set a new track record. And he has won the FIBT Triple Trophy. His father Dennis celebrates with him. €100,000 better off. Martins Dukurs has won the last 3 races with 6 fastest heats. And that is why he's Superman.
Oh, I can't imagine what's going through his mind right now.
Right there on the in-run, why he didn't move, that's when he thought about it.
Exactly. And his father was the first one there to give him a hug and tell him how amazing today was for not just him, but his family.
And now he comes out of the Zen zone and the adrenaline is back.
Yeah. He never loses his competitive edge. It doesn't matter how much he wins, he never takes it for granted. They worked hard from the beginning, and they're working hard now, even on top.
Usain Bolt still has to work hard to be Usain Bolt, and Martins Dukurs is no different.
That was an intense race to watch.
What a topsy-turvy race, so much excitement going on. Martins and Thomas Dukurs, that is their 4th 1-2 of the season. Remarkable stuff from Martins Dukurs, the new European champion. He wins the 8th World Cup of the season, his 6th victory of the year. and his 31st World Cup win. Thomas Dukurs in the silver medal position, Frank Rommel in the bronze, and Matt Antoine of the USA, 4th position. Another strong finish from him. But wow, what a run. Katie Eulander, it's just a joy to watch people being so good at any sport that they do and make it look like you can all do it.
I mean, he was 400ths off the start record, and then he comes down and obliterates the track record. And even with me thinking he had a bit of a conservative drive off the exit of Grizzley, he just flew through the finish. Yeah. I mean, that was something historical to watch.
Stunning. The track record when we started this afternoon was 50.64. He came down in 50.17, nearly half a second, not 500ths, nearly 5/10ths off the track record. Well, there is your finishing order. We'll be back in a little while to hear from our winners. Well, Katie, a joy to have you in the booth and telling us what's going on with the race, but goodness me, some topsy-turvy stuff there. And Kristan Bromley, what was he, 16th off the first heat to 6th place? That was quite a wild ride for him as well. I was very impressed with the way he came back second heat and put it together. I mean, this is showing what kind of talent we're going into Sochi with, and this is going to be a really interesting race to watch in the Olympics. Well, I always think that skeleton is one of the hardest races to predict, because Maurizio Dukurs takes a little bit out of that. The bookies may well spot him as a potential favourite for the race, but, you know, everything else is so hard. And, you know, let's face it, maybe not as heavily the favourite going into Vancouver, but he was the favourite going into Vancouver. And John Montgomery put off the race of his life to claim that gold on home ice. You know, if he ever has a greater day, it'll be in the delivery room, won't it? So, you know, things can happen. Well, that's the greatest thing about this sport, is it is all about you, the sled, and the track, and nothing else matters. And if the athlete can remember that, anything can happen. Because we saw Dukurs do this 2 years ago. He came out of Grizzley and made a mistake that cost him the race. It was the only race he lost that year. And yeah, I mean, look what Bromley did second heat. He came back and believed in himself and rode that sled across the line 10 spots faster. Yeah, even Superman has kryptonite. It's not always perfect for the man of steel, and for Maurizio Dukurs, it's exactly the same. Well, he ends out as our World Cup champion, our European champion, and the winner of the FIBT Triple Trophy. Two years in a row. 2 years in a row. 200,000 smackaroos in the last 2 seasons. That's a decent national team funding budget right there. So he's had a pretty good time of it. The final Viessmann FIBT Skeleton World Cup race of the season has been won by Maurizio Dukurs. Another 1-2 with his brother Thomas. Their fourth of the season. It was right in the first place. And Thomas moves up to second place. Antoine will round out the season, third in the overall standings. Alexander Tretiakov didn't race here, drops to fourth place, the world champion. Frank Rommel fifth, the top of the German sliders. John Daly of the USA rounding out his World Cup season in 8th place in the rankings. Maurizio Dukurs may not have won every race of the season, but he had a pretty good time. Kristan Bromley and Tress tied on points. 1,000 points apiece. 1,000 points in the season, they couldn't find 1 point to split them. That's insane. Pretty crazy. Well, Katie Eulander, pretty crazy final runs in this men's skeleton race as well. Some standout performances, a couple of guys whose second run didn't match their first. But Kristan Bromley taking 5th place in the European Championships from what was a very disappointing first run. But the sensation, Maurizio Dukurs, knocking nearly half a second off the track record to just crush the opposition. I mean, it was an amazing run to watch, and you can tell his sliding wasn't perfect, but he had the start. He's got the right setup, he's comfortable on it, and he just runs with it, literally, and that takes him to new speeds and heights I didn't know the sport can go to. Well, I'm sure he didn't either. There you go, there are your top 3. They're also the top 3 on the European podium. The top North American slider was Matt Antoine of the USA in 4th spot. And again, If you want a minute to teach you how to slide skeleton, this is right up there.
Yeah, I mean, look at the way he comes through Kreisel. These lines are almost perfect. It's almost like a bobsled drove them, and we don't have the same control. It was amazing to watch.
Do you know what? I often think he's like a seal or a dolphin or something, just natural speed, like organic speed, just doesn't seem to do anything.
He is just really aware of where his body is on the sled and how to generate speed that way. And that's what I was saying. You don't have to have perfect lines, but if you can generate speed through the corner and understand where the pressures are, on top of that, he's got the start. So no, he's almost unstoppable. Trechikov is the only one that can challenge him on the start, and maybe because Trechikov is getting those extra runs in Sochi, we're going to see a race.
We are going to see a race, whatever happens in Sochi. Well, let's get down and hear from our top three with John Morgan. But first, the triple trophy. The check for €100,000 goes again to Martins Dukurs, the FIBT triple trophy winner for 2013-14.
For me, tough season with a good ending now in the World Cup, and looking forward now for the Olympic Games. I now completed my European Champs medals, now the missing piece, the bronze medal, and I'm happy with the race today.
Congratulations now over to Thomas Dukurs. Good way to finish behind Martins so he can win the trophy. Second in World Cup season, good energy for Sochi.
Yeah, the season was quite successful, and also European Champs silver, but most important race is still ahead, and we are ready to Sochi.
Superman, European champion, World Cup champion, Königssee champion, €100,000. What's next?
No words, no words. Looks like Skeleton God loves me. I think that's the goal of the team. I think I have a really great team, and I will bring them to vacation. They need to choose the place in the world.
Well, congratulations as you head into Sochi.
So Martins Dukurs is our race winner. He's our European champion, and he is the winner of the FIBT triple trophy, and he will be good to his word, because although it's the individual that has the limelight, it is the team, his brother, his father, the whole huge family now behind him that enjoys the glory. Well, thank you so much to Katie Uhlaender for spending her last day here in Königssee trackside with us in the booth and talking us through what's been a fascinating race. Thanks to John Morgan and to the FIBT TV crew, and most of all, thanks to you for joining us. Don't forget, we've got more sliding action from Königssee this weekend. Until then, from me, Martin Haven, it is goodbye for now.